Part of the appeal of Star Citizen is the different ways you can play: mining, trading, salvaging, and of course combat. And it's about time that some more combat missions made their way onto the channel. So in this video you can critique the suboptimal flying style and ship choice for this mission. I'm Forrester, and this short video will be a real-time view of an Ares Inferno starfighter taking on a mercenary contract to investigate and deal with unauthorized surveillance, from taking the mission, which you can see right now, all the way through to completion and getting the payout. The mission has just popped up. As the server is a little bit slow, it took a couple of seconds for that to happen, and at this point we'll plot our route to the target. Particularly for routes that are close in amongst a planetary body, in this case Crusader, it can sometimes confuse the mobiGlas a little bit, and so plotting a route to somewhere that's going to take you outside of that sphere of influence and allow you to hop back in can be helpful. So in this case, although that's not our destination, we've set a route to Daymar, and then we'll hop back across to the other side of Crusader for the mission itself. These unauthorized surveillance missions are fairly simple and straightforward. There are 3 monitor satellites that need to be located and destroyed. The only slight complication is that they are naturally protected by some escort ships that you may also need to take out so that you can continue destroying the satellites. I did mention earlier, this is the Crusader Ares Inferno starfighter. It might be seen by some as a less than ideal choice for this mission. It's got a primary armament which is a single heavy ballistic Gatling gun, which I absolutely love, but is more akin for dealing with heavier targets than the sort of smaller targets that we're likely to face here. That said, this is my ship. It's my only pledge ship that is a fighter type craft, and so with the 318 wipe, it seemed like a logical choice to dust this ship off and dig it out from the garage. On the way in, I'm just putting some scans to see if there's anything out there that I should be concerned about, and looking around using my Tobii Eye Tracker 5. I can see off to the right hand side of the ship is the marker for the mission, so I'll slowly make the way there, having identified that there's no real scary threats out here. The other thing that is slightly challenging about using the Ares for this mission is because it's a heavy fighter, it's not the most nimble of ships, and so if there are more nimble enemy craft out there, it can pose a challenge to keep that nose facing the target, given that there are no gimbals or turrets or anything like that to assist. But we'll start the engagement by firing off a couple of missiles at our first target. And then enjoy the noise of that ballistic Gatling gun.
Target destroyed.
So it's not the most accurate of weapons. There is a fair, as you can see, a fair dispersion and fair spread of firepower as it fires away, which is part of what makes it tailor-made for dealing with larger ships rather than smaller maneuvering targets. That said, the weapon does have a lot of stopping power behind it, so although it might not be the most accurate, you can just kind of saturate an area with gunfire and let the rounds that do hit do the damage. Just find the noise that it makes so satisfying. Anybody that's listened to a Gatling gun from an A10 or something like that will know that it can be a very, very satisfying noise. As we've discovered the first monitors, so we'll make our way towards them. So these are a little bit more heavy targets, and so the SF-7B cannon does make a little bit more sense for engaging these. You can see, though, it still takes a little bit of time as we fly through the satellite there, that this cannon is a little bit more appropriate for these targets. I should at this point out that this server is a little bit laggy, so sometimes if you see things get destroyed a little bit after they're actually destroyed, or the frame rate drop a little bit, that's the reason why it's this particular server. So that's 2 monitors down, 1 to go, and it's already on the scope, so I'll make my way towards it. Very satisfying just seeing those rounds go in on target.
Target destroyed.
And then that's mission complete, so that's the primary payout. We do have a call to arms mission, so at this point I've still got ammunition in that ballistic Gatling gun, so I'm just going to use up that ammunition and destroy some of these supporting craft that are flying around. Again, this isn't the ideal ship choice for this, but it's my ship and I love it, so I'm quite happy to use it, get some practice shooting up some of these targets.
Missile locked. Attack on shield. Contact.
Really like that glow of the sun kind of up above Crusader. So you've got the dark side of the gas giant and then the light, almost like marble effect side. Looks really cool.
Come on, bring it. Give me everything you've got.
Contact.
So it's definitely becoming obvious that this wasn't the best ship to choose here, trying to deal with these kind of light, nippy Mustangs and what have you. But that's fine. That's all good fun, isn't it?
Contact.
You think you're gonna stop me? Don't make me laugh.
Contact.
As we fly through it. Oopsie daisies.
Attack on shield. Target destroyed.
That's the other thing in particular about this ship, is it's not as nimble as some of the others that you might get used to. So I've been flying a lot of Gladius recently, and the Gladius is pretty responsive as I just throw some missiles towards this target. The Ares is considerably less responsive than the Gladius. I think those were kind of soft kill targets. We've got one more here.
Pay for that.
To try and engage. The AI, when it gets into this point where it's kind of just floating around for a bit, that's the good time for the Ares to do some damage.
Weapon low.
So you can see the ballistics on the right hand side are starting to run a little bit low. I find that it's not as bad with this ship as it used to be in previous patches, but it's perhaps not as good as it used to be as well. You do get a fair amount of ammunition in there, so you can keep firing for a while before you have to head back and restock and reload, but I guess that is the limiting factor on this ship, so I suppose that's fair enough. I think these are both soft kills. I'm just confirming that they are destroyed. And we seem to be okay. So at this point, that's pretty much mission complete. We've got a little bit of ammunition left, but perhaps not quite as much as might be ideal, so it's time to head back to Port Olisar. As before, we have the same problem where it's trying to plot a route through the planet, so instead what we'll do is we'll head across to, well, I suppose Daymar was what we used last time, so we use that again, do the hop up to Daymar, and then turn it around and head to Olisar back from there. One of the other nice things about the Ares Inferno is that, well, I suppose either Ares, the quantum drive is pretty reasonable. You get a good quantum drive off the bat, but also you get a good amount of quantum fuel stored in the ship, so you can make long runs across the whole Stanton system, which is very, very handy. You don't need to stop for fuel very often. So from Daymar, turn to face Port Olisar, and jump back for refuel and repair and rearm.
Quantum travel complete.
I should probably point out at this time that actually a lot of you have been enjoying putting more of these sort of short gameplay videos on the channel. So if you are enjoying this, please do press that like button, or let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you'd like to see. It's been a bit different for me putting together these more gameplay oriented videos, so any feedback is definitely welcome in the comments. Many of you will know I always read all of the comments through on the video, so let me know what you think of these gameplay videos. Would you like to see more of these, or say, actually Forrester, just keep to the ship reviews and location spotlights, thank you very much. Let me know. So at this point, this absolute mess around Port Olisar are all of the kind of old ships and UEE Navy ships, and it's I suppose it's one of the challenges raised by this patch as we try and hail the space station for a landing bay. And at this point, it's feeling like the server isn't quite as responsive as might be ideal, and that's the reason why. Disconnection code 30k. Sadly, these do appear to have become a little bit more frequent in the 3.18 patch. I know there are some patches in the wings to help address this, but unfortunately at that point we'll have to close out the video there, so it just leaves for me to say thank you for watching.